Okay, let's talk about fire safety. So we should have already been talking about safety this week, but today we'll specifically talk about fire safety. And so we're going to talk about a few things. I can get my computer to go here. Okay, fires need three things to occur. Well, let me explain first why this is significant for us. Because as a healthcare worker, there's a lot of chemicals that you use. There's just a lot of equipment that's used. And plus, you're not just looking out for your own well-being. You have to look out for the well-being of all the patients in your care. And so fire safety becomes an issue because, one, there's lots of hazards that can cause fires within any healthcare facility. But two, there's just a lot of people involved to take care of it, and a lot of people who can't take care of themselves. But anyway, so fires need three things to start. They have to have oxygen, they have to have fuel, and then they have to have some kind of heat or something to get the flame, to get it started. That spark to get it going or something. Now, if you take out any one of these three things, you won't have the fire anymore. So that's, you think about it. That's why we say when you have a fire blanket, that's why fire blankets work. Because when you put them over it, that depletes the oxygen, and fire can't go without the oxygen. If you take away whatever is combustible, then it won't burn because there's not any fuel for it to burn on. Major causes of fire. Biggest one for the hospital or any healthcare facility setting is just people being really careless with their smoking. People trying to smoke where they're not supposed to, and so forth. Oxygen is a big, you have to have oxygen to make fire work. And so I have been in homes before where I've gone in and they've got oxygen in their nose and they're like lighting a cigarette. And that is so incredibly dangerous. If you guys have ever been to someone's house who they're on oxygen, a lot of times they'll have a sign on their door that says no smoking at home or something like that. That's why, because there's an excessive amount of oxygen, and that can get that fire going. Misuse of electricity, overloading the circuit, or overuse of extension cords. Sometimes you'll see plugs and they'll have one of those extenders in there, and they'll have 8,000 things plugged in. That's just not safe. Overloading a circuit is a big one, just using something that has more power than what your outlet can contain. That's why, if you guys have ever noticed, probably in your bathrooms or in your kitchens, you have a plug that has a reset button on it. And what that plug does is that helps to prevent fire from overloading a circuit. So a lot of times when you have a hairdryer or something like that, that will if it's trying to blow the circuit, it will only blow it at that particular plug, and you can just reset it. So that's why you have those make those outlets and things safer. Improper trash disposal, and then storage of flammables like gasoline, alcohol. People don't store them in the right place. And then arson, of course, where people do it on purpose. Just never a good thing. Okay, another reason within healthcare facilities is faulty equipment and then improper use of equipment. It'll come off or it'll turn off in just a second. But just not using equipment correctly is a big issue. So when you're looking at your equipment and trying to make sure that it's going to do what it needs, you always want to make sure you don't have any lint. Because lint is something that's combustible that can fuel a fire. Grease, again, anything from, those are things that can catch fire. Just making sure you clean vent hoods, which specifically is in pharmacies. You'll see those benefits. There's it's like a big hood that allows airflow in so that you can keep things clean. And then you got, of course, always make sure if you notice, like if you go to the nursing home or you go to the hospital or wherever, if you notice something that's like, oh, like this cord is split or whatever, you just let somebody know. You don't want to use extension cords unless you have to. No, sometimes we have to. But make sure that you don't exceed whatever the amp is on the extension cord itself. Don't want to run them somewhere where people can trip over. Falls is a big issue. You don't even think, oh, people trip on stuff. It's not that big of a deal. Whenever you've got 70, 80-year-old people walking around, it's a big deal for them to fall because 9 times out of 10, if somebody who's elderly falls, they're going to significantly injure someone. Don't plug one extension cord into another. Okay, so first response. So in case of a fire, what are some things we're going to do? Now, those of you guys, we're going to be going to clinicals, and this becomes really important in case of a fire because you're there, you are just a volunteer, but at the same time, you have a purpose to be there. So, anyway, so what, in case of a fire, the things that you will do, first and most important is always just to stay calm. Because if you get worked up, everybody else is going to get worked up, and you can't get things done that way. And people are running, fall, people just get crazy and out of control. So always stay calm. Make sure you know wherever you are, have an idea of an emergency plan. And it's, you just need to, the thing for you guys to know, you're not going to get the emergency plan everywhere we go for clinicals, but always just make sure you kind of visualize the exits. And we'll talk about a few things actually here in a minute that, in case of specifically a fire where you are, you would want to do. So, fire, other paper, but I don't know where it is. I'm sorry, I was looking for something that's specifically. So, make sure that you know how to shut off oxygen and other gas systems. Pretty simple. When you're in the hospital, if you need to shut off gas, if a fire came out or erupted while you're in the room and they're like, shut off oxygen. They're always on a little tube at the back, kind of behind the patient's bed. You'll see the oxygen tubing. It's usually green. The tube thing is green, and you'll see it plugged in, and you just switch it to 0. Make sure you know how to move patients safely and quickly. So that's one thing that we will do at my school, at least for you guys, is we'll go to an orientation at Birchwood, and you can kind of see how the beds work and that kind of thing. But the bed I have in here is really old school, so it's not really quite like a hospital bed. General fire safety, obviously you want to keep anything that's flammable away from a heat source, and that goes for chemicals in here or at home, wherever. Make sure you prevent sparks, so anywhere where people are using oxygen, so that's why there's the no smoking signs on the doors, anywhere where they might use that. And they cap and store combustible liquids. You just want to make sure that they have their lid on them and they're stored where they need to be. Let's make sure anywhere you're working, things are kept clean, especially areas where there could be a fire. Keep everything clear, hallways and stairs. That's something I always, whenever I was in home health, I always looked around at their home and thought, okay, what are really the hazards here? Like, there's a cord right there, and there's an oversized rug right there that's turned up that they could trip on, and there's furniture everywhere or whatever. I mean, I've been in homes, I've been in some homes where people really were hoarding. I mean, they were hoarders. And you just, you follow this little aisle around, And, it's really not safe fire-wise. One, because for those people, there's so much that could catch on fire. And then two, there's not a good way out. So be sure the exit signs are always lighted, and you'll be able to see that. Don't ever prop open emergency doors. The purpose behind them is not only to let people out, but also to keep fire from spreading. Typically, same thing in here in all of our rooms. We want to keep, if the fire breaks out, we want to keep the doors closed. Okay, in the event of a fire, stay calm again, and what we say is RACE. RACE is just an acronym for what to do in case of a fire, and you guys absolutely need to know this. First thing is rescue anyone in immediate danger. Now, when you're thinking about rescuing people, like at a nursing home and so forth, make sure, give me 2 seconds. Where I put my folder. I wanted to tell you real quick, I just wanted you to know. Oh, here's what I was looking for today. Okay, I was right. I wanted to make sure. So rescue anyone in immediate danger. When you are rescuing somewhere like the nursing home, any kind of healthcare facility, you always start with people who are ambulatory, and that just means that they can walk themselves. Okay, and so it'll move from ambulatory, get those people evacuated. Second, chair-bound, like people who are in wheelchairs. And then third is people who are bed-bound. And I say this, I know you think, oh, the bed-bound people, they can't move themselves and get out, so you need to attend to them first. But the thing is, you can probably save more people by letting the people who can walk out on their own go first, then the people who need to be pushed with wheelchair, then the people who are bed-bound. You can save more people that way because the bed-bound people can't do anything on their own. They're completely dependent on you or another person, where the other ones, once somebody gets them started, they can get going. And so so that's something that's, you should know. So R is for rescue anyone in immediate danger. A is for alarm or alert. It's just that's once you've gotten everybody out of harm's way, then you, or at least immediate. Now, I'm not saying, like at the school, for example, if a fire came out in my classroom, I'm going to get everyone in my classroom out, then I'm going to go sound the alarm. So when you rescue, like I said, it's immediate danger. I'm not saying I need to go evacuate the whole school before I ever call the fire alarm. That would not make sense. But anyone who's in immediate danger, rescue them, then pull the alarm or alert, make sure somebody's calling 911. C stands for contain or confine. So you want to make sure that you close all the doors. If there's any windows open where oxygen's getting in and making it stirring up the fire more, you want to close those. So that's the best way to confine it. And then extinguish is what the E stands for. A couple things to know about E, extinguish. You can also, like it says, evacuate. Here's what a few things you need to know about that. One, you always want to know how to evacuate. So like I said earlier, you always want to make sure that you know where the exits are. Just eyeball any facility you go into, just kind of keep an eye out for the exits. They're usually marked, like I said, with the big light. Make sure that fire extinguishers are always clear. They don't have anything blocking them in case somebody needs to get one. Know your own responsibilities in a fire evacuation. For you guys as students, unless the facility says something different, you just need to get yourself out. You know, if you can push somebody along the way, or you need to ask and do whatever they tell you to do. They say, go sound the alarm, or, you know, go outside and call 911, or, you know, wheel this patient outside, and they hand you a patient. Just do what they say, and if they're not telling you to do anything, you go outside. Okay. Smoke and panic. This is kind of interesting. Typically kill more people than the fire itself. And I say panic and smoke together because when you panic, you breathe in more, and which makes you get more smoke. So smoke inhalation is a big issue. So again, stay calm, think through the things that you have to do, and then go from there. Okay? Okay, types of fire extinguishers. So your normal fire extinguisher that you guys probably have at the school is this first one, an ABC or BC fire extinguisher. Now A is typically your pressurized fire extinguisher. Sorry, my brain is crazy. And just an A alone just has pressurized water. And that's for like your typical everyday material. You know, you can use it on paper or wood, something like that. Okay, class B has carbon dioxide, and it can be used for any kind of flammable liquids. It's really good for grease, like it says on here. And then class C is for electrical fires. So it contains potassium bicarb or potassium chloride, which can really irritate your skin or eyes. So that's something you don't ever want to spray this on a person, because that can really, you know, that could really be harmful for them. Okay, these foam extinguishers. These are good for flammable liquids. And then a class D extinguisher is actually used for metal fires, like if magnesium catches on fire or something like that. You won't see a class D extinguisher just anywhere. That would typically be used in a specific place, like maybe in a factory or somewhere where they do welding, that kind of thing. ABC is normally what you see, and I'll be right back. I'll show you guys what it looks like. Okay, let me zoom in a little so you guys can see. Okay, so I guess that's as far as we'll zoom in. Okay, so if you look right here, I know it's really hard to see on here. Let me see if I can. I can't really make it. I can't make it any bigger without getting rid of my other thing, which will be kind of crazy. Here we go. Now you guys can see. Okay, hopefully you can see it now. So this fire extinguisher, you guys can kind of see where it has the A, B, and C here. I know it's backwards because of the way that this video works. Anyways, so A, B, and C on here. So that tells you that it's an ABC. You can use it on all types of fires, whatever you see. Now, if you'll notice in the next part of the PowerPoint, it tells you how to actually use the fire extinguisher. So RACE is what you use, is the acronym used to know what to do during a fire. PASS is the acronym used to know how to use an extinguisher. So the P stands for pull the pin. So this pin, I know it's really kind of hard to see on the video. It's just a little ring, has a little ring on it. It has a tab up here. So you have to pull kind of hard to get that tab to come off. But anyways, so you pull that, pull, the A stands for aim, and you would just take this hose and you always aim it at the base of the fire. Okay, if you aim it at the top of the fire, you're not doing anything. You have to aim it at the bottom because that base part is the fuel. So that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to make it so that the fuel won't burn anymore. Okay, the next one is squeeze, so that's just squeeze the handle. This one will squeeze until you pull the pin out. Okay, so you squeeze the handle and then you just sweep side to side. Okay, sweep side to side. So that's how you use it. Very simple. They're pretty heavy, so you need to be kind of prepped for that. But that's pretty much the extent of that. So go back to sharing my screen here. To go. Oh, that's it. Okay, sorry. Make sure we go over a couple more things. Make sure I'm not missing anything for you guys. I think that's it, actually. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Hope you guys having a good day, and we will we'll keep going with safety.